I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
You must listen. What I'm about to tell you will change the course of history.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
I can't imagine what it would be like to be his mother, watching him go from PayPal to rockets to Tesla to all just one thing after another. You ever surprised about what he's coming up with next?
Well, every time I'm surprised, and every time I say, don't take on something else. And he doesn't listen to me. And then he makes a big change. And this Neuralink, people saying, why I don't want something in my head. I said, well, you aren't paralyzed. Or you aren't blind.
Good point.
If you're blind and you don't want to see, then you can argue the point. You don't have to have a chip in your head. You don't have to have a chip in your head.
Neuralink starts with a surgeon drilling a hole in your head about the size of a coin. Then a robotic arm carefully inserts the ultra-thin, flexible threads into your brain. These threads are finer than a strand of hair and are equipped with electrodes that directly interact with the cells in your brain. This implant is capable of interpreting your thoughts and applying them to real-life actions.
Imagine a world where you can be anyone, go anywhere, do anything. Robotic human surrogates combine the durability of a machine with the grace and beauty of the human body. With most people living their lives through their surrogate selves, our world has become a safer place. Take a seat in your STEM chair, and just with the power of your mind, you can control your surrogate and send it out into the real world. You can finally live the life you've always dreamt of, without any risk or danger to yourself.
Neuralink has just started trials of their implanted device, and a lot is now coming out about their animal trials. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine made a request to UC Davis for their transcripts of the animal trials. Here, it's detailed just horrific events, from using bioglue, which ended up degrading the brains of some animals, to animals that were allowed to go on suffering long after euthanasia should have been recommended. I invite you to read it yourself. I can't talk about everything here, but they suffered from brain bleeds, edema, infections. One monkey very clearly had a brain bleed and slowly lost her capacity to move over a period of time, but she was not euthanized until the situation became dire. An additional lawsuit was filed for a public records request for the university to release videos and pictures of the monkeys. Elon Musk claims that no monkeys perished as a result of the Neuralink, and that the monkeys used in the study were already terminally ill, although this would disqualify them from participating in the study as it required the subjects to be healthy. A former Neuralink employee claims that his comments are outright fabrications. This employee allowed themselves to be interviewed with anonymity. Now, I personally know veterinarians who work at UC Davis, and I have a hard time believing that they would conduct themselves in this manner. But we also have to understand that a very large amount of money was involved in this experiment. We're going to have to wait and see what happens to the human patients in the human trials.
It's a systemic transformation of the world.
Artificial intelligence, the metaverse, synthetic biology. Our life in 10 years from now will be completely different, and who masters those technologies will be the master of the world.
Similar to his protege, Justin Trudeau, Klaus Schwab makes a fascinating case study. Yet he too is merely the master of his own world. Economic Forum.
Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds. But our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. And by this I mean that if you have enough data and you have enough computing power, you can understand people better than they understand themselves. And then you can manipulate them in ways which were previously impossible. You know, the whole idea that humans have this soul or spirit and they have free will, that's over. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Data is the most important asset in the world. Those who control the data control the future not just of humanity, but the future of life itself.
Understanding the philosophy and the ideology behind the transhumanist movement is crucial if we're going to make the right choices as a species. Transhumanism stands on the premise that there is no God, that there is no spiritual realm, and that we possess no soul. Does anybody feel like a soulless being in this room? It is the most materialistic and Darwinian understanding of who we are. And in my opinion, it is the most reductionist and frankly insulting notion of humanity. For decades, we have been prepped and groomed to accept the notion that without technological enhancements, we will not survive the future, but instead become obsolete. Yuval Noah Harari is doing a marvelous job at convincing everyone that we will become what he calls the useless class in the face of a world driven by AI, that we are simple, hackable animals restricted by our own biology. But the truth, however, is very, very different. They don't want to alter us because we are flawed, weak, and limited. They want to alter us because we are none of those things. And it's increasingly difficult to control the billions of resourceful, resilient, and creative humans that we are. There is a reason why it's called artificial intelligence. And that's because it is artificial. It's not real intelligence. Real intelligence necessitates of consciousness, something that machines will never possess. And in any case, who said we wanted to merge with machines? Why should we allow some megalomaniac nerds and their big tech billionaire friends dictate our future? I think most people just want to be able to live a peaceful life in a healthy environment where they can pursue their dreams. Technology must be at our service, not to replace us or destroy us. Give us free energy, and the world will transform instantly. Give us nutritious food, clean air and water, and disease will be eradicated. Allow us to live in a humane system instead of a free-range tax farm, and you will see how depression, anxiety, and stress dissipates. Let's use technology to make our lives more humane, not to make humans a thing of the past. The things we value most are those things that cannot be replicated by machines. Empathy, compassion, courage, intuition, imagination, passion, love, all of the things that make us unique. We are the most sophisticated beings on this planet and possibly the universe for all we know. Our body is a universe in itself, one that we still have not yet fully discovered, and our brains are the most complex cognitive piece of biological machinery in the world. Just to give you a sense of our brain power, in 2013, joint teams of researchers from Japan and Germany got together to simulate a single second of human brain activity. They created an artificial neural network of 1.73 billion nerve cells connected by 10.4 trillion synapses. Sounds very impressive, but actually it's only a fraction of every human being's nerve cells. Scientists believe we all carry between 80 and 100 billion nerve cells, or about as many stars in the Milky Way. The researchers were actually not able to simulate the human's brain activity in real time, and it took 40 minutes with a combined muscle of 82,944 processes to get just 1 second of biological brain processing time. But they want to make you think you're useless. They don't want to make you better. They don't want to make you a superhuman. The end game is to make you a totally controllable piece of machinery. Another thing in the Internet of Things. As Klaus Schwab has said on numerous occasions, the fourth industrial revolution will not change the world. It will change you. They will entice you with promises of immortality, but it's digital immortality. They will try to convince you of a life without disease and suffering, but by disconnecting you from the natural web of life and connecting you to the grid. And they will speak of becoming gods, Homo Deus, in the words of Mr. Harari. Well, we once took a bite of that apple, and we fell. And we've been falling ever since. But I think we now have a chance to redeem ourselves. We now have a chance to change our ways, to understand our foolishness, to see where we went wrong, a chance to walk in the right direction with appreciation, with humility, with courage, with truth, with faith, and with love. Let's not take this chance to transform ourselves to something different, but to become the best version of ourselves. We are not here to become God. We are here for God to experience life through us. Thank you.
Explain what transhumanism is and why it is so dangerous.
Yeah, so I'll just probably start with the history of it. So there was a man named Julian Huxley. He's the brother of the famous author Aldous Huxley. He was president of the British Eugenics Society. The United Nations is created after World War II. He is put in charge of UNESCO. In writing his vision for UNESCO, Julian Huxley says about eugenics, we need to make the unthinkable thinkable again. 10 years later, he coins the term transhumanism in a book called...
Did he read his brother's work?
I'm sure, actually, that Aldous Huxley's work was influenced by the type of social milieu he inhabited, which would include his brother. And, sort of those intellectual circles where both of them grew up, right? You know, this is the British aristocracy, and really a lot of the idea of eugenics going back to Francis Galton and, Darwinism and all of that, it seems to sort of emanate from there.
Fabian socialists and all of that.
Yes. So in a book in 1957, I believe, called New Bottles for New Wine, something like that, Julian Huxley coins the terms transhumanism and talks about how the new eugenics is going to be merging man with machine. So this is basically eugenics rebranded, and a lot of people that funded eugenics causes of the past, like the Rockefeller family, are, big proponents of transhumanism today, and it's getting increasingly problematic. I would say, if you look, for example, at the new head of the FDA, who very few people have bothered to look into, Robert Califf, he's a former Google Health executive. Google Health has a joint venture with GlaxoSmithKline called Galvani Bioelectronics. I think the former head of that was Moncef Slaoui, who was in charge of Operation Warp Speed, and their focus is what they call bioelectronic medicine. which is, injectable nanotechnology that can manipulate your central nervous system. What are the implications of that? We have the person that just purchased Twitter, making a brain chip company. He's also a major contractor to the U.S. military. He has a major conflict of interest with Chinese Silicon Valley equivalents like Tencent.
He says, and I love this, he says, that's one of the reasons why I want to get off the planet. He says his work is to find a way to compete against the transhumanistic, folly. You don't believe that at all?
I don't buy it. No. If you look at that company, they had animal trials. Many of the monkeys it was tested in died after the brain chip was put in. If that were my company, I would reformulate everything or shut it down if it was going to kill that many animals. But it's already moved into human trials.